right, well, it's one way to put it. Go ahead.
It was especially when they were starting out in the 90s and 20s.
All right. Okay. I'll put a little music between that, and then we'll go to segment number 2. So whenever you're ready to start, man, I'm trying to pull. I have my roster right here. I pulled it up.
We got the roster up. All right, cool.
Well, I have like the, supposedly because it's not confirmed, right?
No, they have to cut. They have to cut 4 people. But yeah, it's the pre-lit.
All right, let's roll into it then. Whenever you're ready.
And welcome back to the Football Theory Podcast. We're here with Alex and Ivan. Now we're gonna switch back and go to our bread and butter, Mexican soccer. A couple things interesting happening in Mexican soccer, even though they're not playing. They did have a friendly on Saturday, 0-0 game against Honduras that I almost completely forgot about to talk here because it was the definition of the Mexican soccer money grab game, I thought.
Yeah, there's or AKA, Tuca would say mole for sure. So that's definitely part of the mole tour, and I think people are I don't know. I kept saying people are gonna get tired of it. I guess they're not. I guess they're not getting tired of it. They love mole. I think my wife made mole on Saturday, and it was way better than the one on TV. So that's definitely something that I would stay away from. I've been to many games with some friends. We've been to many Mexico games. I've had enough mole. I'm over it, and so stay away from games like that. But yeah, going into that was definitely a game that we forgot. I totally forgot too. I totally forgot. If it wasn't for social media, I was like, wow, there's a game on. I literally sat through that whole thing. I watched it with my parents, just chilling. And I mean, I was doing other things, but I was like, this is terrible. So I don't know if you have one quick thought about that game before we go into what we're going to talk about.
No, I mean, it just kind of represents the things that we get frustrated about with Mexican soccer. I mean, you have a bunch of players from the roster that was at the Nations League kind of bow out little by little. It's an unbalanced roster, and they're kind of trickling away. You have an opponent who also probably would rather focus and get ready for the Gold Cup or have a break before they have to come back, get ready for the Gold Cup. It's a whole week after the Nations League final as well. Yeah. But again, people go, right. They did almost 70,000 at Atlanta because people wanted to go there. It looked like the people there had a great time. They passed the no chant test, so good for them as well. Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of like one of those stereotypical cliche Mexican cash grab games that kind of, I think a lot of people, at least I think in the kind of Mexican soccer community that we hang out, would like to see kind of go away. I mean, naturally you need preparation games, but they already have a couple of those set up before the Gold Cup. So this just seemed like a pure crash grab.
Right. Yeah. The issue is like the timing is just off. People are still obviously sour about the loss, and we'll talk about that as well. I mean, obviously we talked about the episode 1, but like you said, the rosters are very thin, and because that's the Olympics are coming up as well. So we'll get right into it, right? The Mexican Olympic preliminary roster came out as far as who are eligible to even go, who actually are allowed to go. People get upset really quick, like, oh, well, this guy should go. It's like, it's not about that. There's so many other factors that go into making the Olympic team, not just the age restriction of 24 and down, obviously, because they extended it 1 year from guys that were 23 last year, but the fact that these European teams and these big clubs, even Mexican club teams, whatever it may be, they don't have to let their players go to play the Olympics, right? It's not a FIFA sanctioned thing. So from at least from my understanding, right? So when we said, oh, this guy should go, this guy should go, it's like, but the team won't let them go, right? And sometimes the teams are like, no, we just let them go to this, or we let them go to that, right? And so going into that, what do you think about the roster as far as what was available? I mean, I can kind of run it down if you want me to. I mean, obviously in goal, from what they reported, right? We have Ochoa going, Malagon, and Jurado as the keepers. So your thoughts on the keepers really quick? I mean, I personally didn't want to see Ochoa going to the Olympics. That's just my personal thing, nothing against him. I felt like a keeper that's been on the national team for many years, who's been to 3 World Cups, right? Played in 2. To me, actually, he's been to 4 World Cups, right? He went in 06 as well. So, a guy who's been on a World Cup team 4 times, a guy who's played World Cups, who's set his mark already, who's played in Europe, who's played on the, one of the biggest teams in Mexico and who's won titles. Like, I don't see the need for his career to go to the Olympics. I feel like what you're doing there is not trusting in the younger keepers. And I keep like, I just didn't get it. Last time I got it, we never got a gold medal. We already have one. it's like, is the world going to end if we don't win a gold medal this time? Probably not. And so to me, it's like, why not let Jurado? Why not let these younger guys get a chance at it? That was me.
I'm in the same boat that you are. I think part of it as well because the last 5-6 years, Mexican soccer is really the coaches have just been really hesitant about bringing in a young keeper and giving him time with the national team, and so these always seem like a good opportunity to do that. You know, they brought Corona in 12 when they won the Olympics. They brought Talavera, I believe, was a goalkeeper 4 years ago. I'm with you that if you're not bringing these younger guys up to the national team, to the first team level, it's good for them to play in these games because whichever one is going to go along with Ochoa, whether it's Magalon or Jurado, because one of them is going to get cut because the Olympic roster is only 18 instead of the normal 23 that FIFA tournaments kind of allow. They're not going to play, and so this would have been a good opportunity for that. And if they don't, whichever one doesn't go here, it's not a guarantee that they're going to make the Gold Cup roster either. You know what I mean? That's not a guarantee either, even though Ochoa's not going to be in the Gold Cup because it's going to be here. So those kind of things, I'm with you. It's frustrating to see, actually. But for the most part, for the roster, I actually really like the roster, I think. The other overage players they brought, Luis Romo and Irving and Henry Martinez. Henry Martinez didn't have a good Nations League, but we also have to, at some point, give them merit for what they've done at the club level in Mexico, right? Like you said, you can't. These European teams, these teams that if they don't have to give off their players, most of the time they won't. You do see somebody like Gerardo Ortega, who from Belgium, who is getting permission to go. They probably see him, probably Diego Landis for the same reason. If they have a good Olympics, they can probably maybe sell him, get money off of that. But there is something about Luis Romo being the player of the year in Mexican soccer last year. He's kind of earned this right.
No, he deserved it. Yeah, I agree with you. Yep. Sorry.
Because he's not a starter for the first team for the national team. So this is an opportunity for the team to kind of be built around him in the midfield. Same thing with Henry Martinez. He's not a guaranteed starter for the Mexican national team. These are opportunities for them that they've earned really through the last year that they've played to be in positions where they are the ones not calling the shots, but teams kind of be built around them. And I think for me that's important. They've earned it, and these are the opportunities for them to kind of grow with that.
I agree. I mean, I'm okay with the other two. Like I think Henry Martin is a safe little bet. It's kind of like obviously not on Peralta level. Peralta did obviously had more merit before he got called to the Olympic team. But I think you can kind of say, okay, he's one of those best players that are in the league. Like I said, the team's going to let him go, right? We all know other names that we know don't want to be there, or so we're not going to worry about them. They're not going to go. And then Luis Romo's it's a good one because he misses the age cutoff by a couple of years. He's the player of the year in the league. He's solid. A lot of us would say he should probably be going to Copa Oro, but I think you look at the roster, it's okay. I'm all about taking the best players available at 23. We did it last time in 2012. Gio went, but Chicharito didn't let him go. Like we talked about Man U didn't let him go, and it was in England, right? They still didn't let him go. So there's clubs that don't let their players go to these events, and so I think it is what it is. It's a pretty good squad. I'm okay with it. I'm more excited about this squad than I am than I was in 2016. I thought obviously Chucky Lozano had a lot of they were banking a lot on that, but I didn't see the coaching behind it. So I think this group could do it. They can go pretty far, and we saw what Linus can do against what they did against USA. I think Linus could run circles against some of these teams. I think he could do his thing for sure.
Yeah, and I think it'll be hard to see which other three players get cut besides one of the two goalkeepers, because the roster I really do like. Finding the balance, I think, is going to be interesting. I probably think Eduardo Aguirre probably doesn't make it, to be honest with you. I think
Mulo Aguirre's not going to go if they're going to bring in Martin. He's not going to take Martin. No.
Yeah, and I think JJ's the other forward they'll bring along with Martin instead of Aguirre. And then from the midfield, it's really hard to see. I think maybe if somebody like Carlos Rodriguez doesn't go, then he goes to the Gold Cup Cup team.
Right.
But because you still need some balance, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of attacking midfields on the team, so that's I think my biggest thing, because I like I like the teams. You know, I like Alvarado, I like Beltran, I like Cordova. So Cordova. So it's like it's hard to figure out where the cuts are going to come,
Yeah.
and if they do get if the cuts do come, do they go to the Gold Cup as well? That's
I think they have to. I think you can put this team against the Gold Cup team, and you have I think this team could beat the Gold Cup team, whatever team you send. I mean, I don't see. I mean, obviously, Chucky Lozano would probably tear this team up, but other than that, like it's pretty even. I love Cordova. I think what he can do is going to be. I think this is the time for him to shine. It's the time for him to break out and do his thing. Alvarado is one of those players that I'm not like super sold on. I know he has talent. I know he's like quick and kind of crafty, but I don't know. I don't see like too. I don't know. I'm not that impressed by him too much. Obviously, Antuna, we already know his story with him. You know, he's probably going to play out his little years here with the 23s, and he's got a couple more seasons and it's over. I mean, I don't. You know, he's going to have to do something because we're getting tired of the same old, right? I mean, he could score 7 goals against Cuba, but we need to do something against a team that is going to give you a, you know, that we need to a win that we need to win, right? So yeah, we'll see. It's a good squad, man. Jorge Sanchez, these players, like I said, they weren't there. They should definitely be on the A team. So they should do good. Jimmy should do good. Jimmy knows a little bit about getting cut, so hopefully he knows how to talk to these guys correctly and be like, hey guys, your career's not over. You know, Tata wants to see you over there. I mean, I don't know. El Mudo Aguirre, I don't see him going to the A team either. But like or even Beltran. I think Beltran's like on that cusp of like being that small guy. I don't know if they really trust him yet, but Angulo's going to tear it up in the 23s. Just watch out for Jesus Angulo. He's going to do good.
Yeah, I think I agree with you with some of the players that I think some of the players that get cut won't make the Gold Cup team. I think if they're from the midfield section, they will go to the Gold Cup. But I think forward wise, they won't. And part of it is because it looks like for the Gold Cup, Tata Martinez probably now feels the pressure of after the disappointing week he had with the national team. That looks like he's going to call both Chicharito and Funes Mori, who just became Mexican citizen, to the Mexican national team. At least the prelim one. We don't know.
No, he's going. They're going. We definitely saw him. What was that? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For the prelim for the Gold Cup, it looks like both Chicharito and Funes Mori will be on the rosters. And quickly, because we don't, well, not quickly in the way to like speed up, but what are your initial thoughts now, or what are your overall thoughts of the call? That looks like these are going to be the call-ups after what we saw from Mexico the last week and a half.
Again, I don't want to sound any kind of way. I'm not against naturalizados, you know, players that are, you know, they become citizens. I'm not nationalized. I'm not against that. I think Tata has been hard-headed about it. You know, like you look at, you know, whatever. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I do want to say I'm excited to see both of them on the roster. I think Funes Mori is someone that's in his prime, maybe almost on the way out of his prime, but he's doing his thing. You know, people tweet about it, they're being sarcastic, like, oh, what do you want our forwards to do? Is like win titles and score 100 goals. Like he has all of that. He literally has checked every box in the Mexican league, you know, in a short time. Obviously, you know, he came into Monterrey, he's done his thing in those 5 years he's been there, and he's done his thing. So there's always going to be players that want to be on the Mexican national team, because if you're playing the country, you know, you got an opportunity to do it, you're going to do it. I think Tata's obviously made that comment since day one when he got in there. We know. I also don't blame Tata, right? You have Carlos Vela, who's in his prime, who is one of the best players in CONCACAF in the whole Western Hemisphere, does not want to play on the team. So he's not going to waste his time talking to him, right? Chicharito, obviously, we know, like you said, he was probably like disciplinary action, didn't have him in there, but he's also at the end of his run. This is it, right? If he doesn't go to Qatar, this is it, you know? So I think you can't just waste that waiting for JJ Macias to step up, who hasn't done it in the last 2 seasons with Chivas, has done nothing really. You know, score a goal here and there. And so what else do you do, right? The young aren't ready and the old don't want to play. So you got to go with what you got. And I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is the pressures really has gone up the last week and a half with Tata Martinez, with the way the Mexico's played, you know, struggling to produce goals, struggling to create, struggling to like put them on net. Both Pulido and Martin didn't show anything. Your best player and forward, Raul Jimenez, who would be the focal point, can't play right now. He's barely coming back from the traumatic head injury, right. And so, you know, what do you have then instead? So I think the Chicharito one, he's doing what you're asking your forwards to do, which is score goals. So you can't ask any more right now for him
No. Mm-hmm.
in that situation. So I think the way we talked about, Romo and Henry earning a spot in the Olympic roster through their last year at their club level, here I think he's also earned it. He's maybe not doing it at the highest level, but he's putting himself in a good position. He looks to be in shape. He's enjoying his soccer with LA Galaxy, so he's earned it. And then Funes Mori, who's been one of the elite strikers in Mexican soccer, has putting in the numbers. I think a stat came out that he has more goals than both Borillo and Henry combined in the time all three of them have been in Mexican soccer. So these aren't the worst these aren't the worst second options to have when your back's against the wall, I think.
No.
For them at the
no, and the pressure's on, like you said. I have a co-buddy, shout out to my buddy Alonso, who hopefully listens to the podcast, but he was telling me, like, man, this Gold Cup can literally spiral us down to a Chepo de la Torre kind of moment where Absolutely. We are in huge trouble. And I can kind of agree. I told him, I agree with you that, obviously he had the numbers, like Chepo had the numbers at the beginning, was in the driver's seat, all of a sudden one bad tournament and we're in trouble. And also, the parallel is that we won the Olympics at the same time. So, there is some things that could happen, but he did, he's like, I think this is almost over. And I said, look, if we would have won that U.S. game, when I say we, the Mexican national team would have won the U.S. game, we wouldn't really be talking about it right now. Like, yeah, we could probably say, oh, they scored on us, this and that. But that loss is just is heartening, right? It's disheartening and it hurts, right? It hurts. That's why those games are so fun to watch. So, don't worry about the Honduras 0-0. I don't count that as anything, because if we would have beat USA, then that Honduras game, we don't even care about it, and so it's not a big deal. I think you got to see is, you watch the Gold Cup, you watch them go to a final, and then we're back in the, we're going to be okay. Like you said, it's not a bad move. Those aren't bad picks. It's not a stretch. It's not like Edison trying to grab, Leandro Augusto or just different random guys that are, Mexican Mexican citizens. No, this guy's a good player. He's a solid player. He's doing it on a big team in Mexico. So I think it's a good option. And we'll see how it goes. It's kind of like, well, it's one of those.